Dominic Szoboszlai, you were talking about him. You think he's overrated? You think he's not been playing well for a while? You've been
overrated is. I'll let you finish.
You've been saying that he's a road runner, and I thought it was unfair. But come on, it's you're in front of a camera. Explain your thoughts.
I don't think he's Liverpool captain material. I'll say that first and foremost. I think a lot of his performances he masks over a little bit, Asim. I get the industrious work that he puts in, but honestly, I need to see more quality on the ball. I get he can put in a cross here and there when he switches to the right, but honestly, some of his passing is a lot to be desired. I don't think he's got that ingenuity or creativity we need. He's definitely not like a Florian Wirtz. And he's had to learn on the job. I think under Klopp, he had to learn a new role at Liverpool. He's a good player, Asim. And similar to what you've said about Gakpo, he's a good player. I don't think he'll ever be a great player. And I think we could possibly get someone that's more suited to this team, which enables Wirtz to flourish even more. And I'm happy that and you're going to say who's that midfielder, who's that player? I need to really have a think, and I will definitely come with a suggestion. Look, Szoboszlai has done a lot for this club. I'm not saying that he hasn't got Liverpool material. I just don't see him being a great player.
But it depends how you define Dominic Szoboszlai. If you want to define Dominic Szoboszlai as a creative number 10, like everyone wanted him to be last season, where he receives the ball on the half turn and all that sort of stuff. But Liverpool didn't. They won they won the league, but they didn't have total control. More so this season, and because of that, he had to play a balancing act, a different type of role. We all know, he has to screen the number 6. He has to jump on the centre back, and then the jockey and took over Salah and the right back at times as well. So we all know what Jordan Henderson did, but for me, he played that type of role at a better technical level than Jordan Henderson and more. But if you don't want to define him as a Florian Wirtz type of number 10, then yeah, he's not elite, he's not world class, but he's the modern number 10, Avi. And I'm not calling him world class. We have to define people's roles in the team. And you have to understand, yes, you're calling him a roadrunner. You even called him a Dirk Kuyt. I think that's harsh because you have to understand the roles.
Kuyt was a brilliant player, though. He was a brilliant player. He wasn't never a great player, though. I think but Asim, sometimes you have gone in length about Szoboszlai, and the way you talk sometimes, or sometimes the way you write your wonderful threads. By the way, and I keep telling this idiot to get his fucking Substack going, and the quicker read. Maybe on Wednesday I might have to get it up and running with him live Substack. I'll say this: I think you sometimes have written in the way of like he's on that bordering cusp of world class. He's not. I don't think he is, and I don't think he'll get to that level. I think he'll be a very good player who will carve out a good career. 250 games for Liverpool. I think he'll be that kind of player, but not a captain, a born Steven Gerrard captain. I don't think he's anywhere near that. I don't think he's got that leadership skills.
And nobody said he's anywhere near Stevie G.
I think there's been people on Twitter, a lot of people on Twitter,
numpties.
Who have dubbed. No, not numpties. You can see the characteristics, 100%, but honestly, he's nowhere near Steven Gerrard. I think a Hungarian Henderson's a bit hard because I think Szoboszlai has got. Hold on, I think Szoboszlai has got a little bit more quality than Henderson, but on the ball, he doesn't do enough for me on the ball, Asim, and I want that. I want him sometimes to get us out of trouble and carry the ball. He can do it. I've seen him do it for Salzburg as a forward. I've seen him do it for Leipzig.
He tried to carry the ball. He tried to carry the ball yesterday. The manager stopped him.
The game by the scruff of the neck for Hungary numerous of times. I've seen it for Hungary. At Liverpool, when we're good, he's good. When we're bad, he can't get us out of trouble. And people saying that he's future captain, he's not.
You said he's future captain too. He played well for 15 games of the season.
You said future captain.
Every single person was shit. He was the only player, if we're honest, he was the only player that we were all sat here saying, if it wasn't for this guy, Liverpool would be sat in 18th position. And that's the honest truth. Not one. Yes, I accept the last 6 or 7 games, and I gave him shit in one of them not so long ago, a couple of games ago. As I said, it was dog shit today. But the 5 or 6 games, he hasn't been great. But prior to that, nobody can sit here saying that this guy wasn't miles. It wasn't even Univina Fark. He was like on the different level compared to everyone else in terms of everyone's season. The only person that sort of came close was Hugo Ekitike. The rest of them were dog shit compared to him. So let's not make it out like because of his recency, 4 or 5 games where he's been crap and slate him, because I don't think that's fair. Because this, and plus, it's not. I don't think it's fair because number one, you've moved him out of position.
100%.
Number two, you've asked him to do 3 fucking jobs. Number two, you've asked him to do 3 positions in 90 minutes. Yeah, it's really unfair on Honest, on whoever it is, to us to start giving a load of crap because he's sacrificing himself to play in 3 different positions. I accept 5 games. He hasn't been good, nowhere near as good. But the first 15 games of the season, bro, he was like on a different scale compared to anybody else.
I don't think he was bad yesterday as well.
I think sometimes
you miss a penalty. You're gonna
apart from the penalty, yeah,
and
100%.
with all due respect, you miss a penalty in a game like that, the knives are gonna come for you, and you have to take responsibility. So Dom has to take responsibility.
I was focusing on his general performance in open play.
The general performance the last couple of games, I will be honest, I don't think he's been the Sobo that we've seen over the last month and a half, or the start of the season. He was nowhere near as good enough.
For me, if Kirk had shot, he would have had an assist after 2 minutes.
Okay, Asim, TK, but at the end of the day, when you don't win a football match, Asim, and you miss a penalty like that, you are going to get called out. Especially, people are calling you arrogance, especially when you've done what you did the week 3 or 4 days before that. The knives are going to be out, and they are out for him. And I get it, but we have to be a bit, be honest about it, man. Without this lad, we'd be fucking starting top 4, bro. We'd be starting fucking 17th, 18th, because we were that bad at the start.
Taking out what I'm saying, I'm not saying he's been a bad player, but sometimes optics is a great thing. And I think sometimes there's players that can make themselves look busy rather than being busy. I think he's one of those. He's a good player. He's a good player. He'll never be a great player. He'll never be a great player.
So how do you look busy on a
every team? Oh,
can you answer that, please?
Every team needs.
Can you answer that, please?
Every team needs a Sobo. Every team needs a Sobo. Like, I get the industrious, I get the hard work, the grafting. I get all that. There was a conversation here, Asim, 3 weeks ago about Szoboszlai contract and stuff like that. And I was the one that said, "Do we all feel that Szoboszlai will be a mainstay in this team in 2 years?" And resounding vote was 3-1. And I was like, okay, I'm not too sure myself. And I'm not saying based on the last 2 performances or the last 3 performances. I just think sometimes there's games where, like yesterday, a game at 1-1, evenly poised, people saying Szoboszlai is this, he's great. Go on, show it then. Take the game by the scruff of the neck, win it for us.
With all due respect, Avi. Okay, 1 second. And can I land here now? Yeah. You're asking a guy that's playing in the country. Go ask Florian Wirtz to win you the game. Go ask Hugo Ekitike to win you the game. Because Florian Wirtz is 1 second. Let me land now, because I want to be fair on Szoboszlai here. He's the guy that you paid 120 million pounds for, whatever it cost. Yeah, he's your number 10. He should be going and winning you the game. Not a guy, and you're pinning it on Szoboszlai, right? When he's playing a different position. With respect, don't ask him to go and win you football matches. Your number 9s win you football matches. Your number 10s win you football matches. He's a player out of position. So we have to be fair. Go ask Cody Gakpo, who's a forward. They should be going and winning you a football match. This is just blatant going for Szoboszlai for no reason. Oh, he runs to look busy.
I have not raised my voice when it's come to Szoboszlai. I've been very definitive, and I've described what I think of Szoboszlai. I've not raised my voice. I've not said this and that. I'm just, you know what? Again, we should leave this conversation in a year's time when a new manager comes in and see their thoughts on Xabi.
So if you were picking, if you're Arnie Slot, you're Xabi Alonso, you're Luis Enrique, whoever it is in the summer, do you pick Dominic Szoboszlai in Liverpool's best 11?
If I'm spending a bit of money on the midfield area and starting my first 11, he's not in my first 11.
So who's your first 11 in the summer?
Like I said to you before, I'd have to come back to the table and give you players that I feel would fit what we want to do. Szoboszlai is not in that team.
So who is it? Who's your midfield for next season?
If I said to you, what did I say to you 2 minutes ago? I said I would have to come back to the table and give you 2 midfielders that I want for Florian Wirtz to start dictating games throughout. Not just in patches. Look, I've always said we need. Look, my words have always been we need 2 dog sitters in the middle.
So you're taking Gravenberch out as well then, because he's not a dog sitter.
I before I flew out, I said that midfield area will be addressed in a big way in the summer. I still feel that.
So give me two midfielders then.
Mute.
I would love a Wharton.
He's not a dog.
He's not a dog.
I would love a Wharton in a sitting six.
But he's not
And
a dog.
another one I have to think about.
But Avi, you've just told me you want two dog sitters, two Kote, to protect floating inverts.
Two.
Wharton is not a dog.
Wharton will sit. Wharton won't go forward. Wharton won't be progressive as if he's got if he has a structure around him and
so you want two
Manda wants to be
controllers.
sitting.
So you want two controllers.
Two controllers that will do the work that Wirtz sometimes won't give us when we're on the defensive transition. We let Wirtz influence the game a lot more.
So you want to
What I would say, Avi,
even Belaber's a bit too, even Belaber's a bit of a progressive.
Avi,
midfielder.
right, you know when you say dog, yeah, what do you mean? Do you want hard-working,
You
tenacious
see
midfielder?
at Leverkusen,
Anything but, by the way.
You saw at Leverkusen, he had Andrich and Xhaka. Yeah.
Yep.
Covered ground. Xhaka was the more that sat back a little bit and pinged passes left to right to Grimaldo. He used Grimaldo as his outlet time and time again. Yeah. We need similar profiles to that. I'm not saying those two.
Okay, those
but
say,
we need
say you
those
want one Kota, you say
And
one
you know-
dog, and one
You know,
Kota.
I've been saying that as well. You know, I've been saying that a lot as well. I'm
When
gonna
you said I want to say it means one Kota and one ball progressor. That's what he wants in that team.
you know
Okay,
what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants. That's the problem.
I will tell you now,
What he
Asim.
wants. You're telling me you want two Kote, and then you
Szoboszlai will not.
let me land.
Szoboszlai will not be in this first 11 in a year's time. We'll talk then.
But I don't get your reasoning. You said you want two dogs.
Asim,
Wharton is not a dog.
this.
You said you want a controller then Wharton will cover ground. Wharton can't cover ground for shit.
Again, I'll tell you.
So what you're telling me is you want Liverpool to play with the midfield of Palhinha and Ugarte. Dogs who can cover ground with shit on the ball.
Again, that's what your scouting tells you. You know me when I scout a
No,
player.
I'm going by your definition.
I'm telling you.
I'm going by your definition.
I'm telling you, Szoboszlai and Wirtz will not work if we want to become a great Liverpool team. And Szoboszlai will not be a first teamer come next summer under a new manager.
But
I'm telling you now, clip the date and I will be right. And clip the video. Sometimes my videos don't get clipped. And sometimes I'm right most of the time and they don't get clipped because you two want the exposure, which is fine. It is your channel.
No.
We will talk about Szoboszlai and you will say, you know what? You will say, you're right. You are right.
You know, Avi,
I promise you, I'm gonna clip 3 videos of you today and put on my area. I promise you, I am.
When they come true.
I am gonna clip 3 videos of his, and I'm gonna get them out. And if you don't get dogs abuse, my name isn't Gene because you fucking waffled today.
There's no one that will give me dogs abuse. They can't give me dogs abuse.
Ben, you've been itching to come in.
I'd like to come at it from a different angle because I actually, without sounding like I'm sitting on the fence, I actually think there's a conversation that's valid on both sides. But we're talking about squad building here. We're talking about replacing one player for another player or a different type of player. So for me, I do understand where Avi's coming from in the fact that Szoboszlai is limited in his technical ability. And if we're all being honest, then at the start of this season, the logical person for Wirtz to come into the team, if we're resetting again and we're all looking back at the situation, the person who ironically was going to be whose Wirtz was going to replace was Szoboszlai. I think we all sort of agreed on that. But the way it's worked out, Szoboszlai's ended up being our best midfielder this season. Yeah. Now, for me, I would not be getting rid of Szoboszlai because I think he's so versatile. He's shown that this season. He's one of the only people in the team that's got an engine that's able, like even against Burnley, some of the transitions on yesterday, he's the only one who can actually track back and actually mop up and cover. Even Gravenberch in his position where he's at. Yeah, he's the only one who's got that profile to be able to track back. So for me, and again, maybe controversial, but I'm keeping McAllister. And I tell you what, I'm selling Curtis Jones in the summer before I'm selling Szoboszlai.
See, that's the
one I'm selling.
No, but the McAllister one is again.
We'll come to Curtis. So Ben, just to press you on that. So who's your midfield for next season?
My midfield for next season, I actually think my midfield for next season would be Wharton, Szoboszlai, and Wirtz.
With that midfield, with that 3, no way.
You're not even giving me any options. You didn't even give me a midfield.
A man of my talents needs to really research the game.
Without no midfield.
Okay, so my reply was, do you think McAllister and Gravenberch and Szoboszlai was going to win the league when it started the season?
It was good enough to win the league. That
Honestly.
McAllister, yes, because we saw that McAllister control midfield areas, departments, the composure he had, that bite he had, that South American sort of warrior-like spirit. He was a brilliant footballer. This year, McAllister's been short, way short. He's not going to be a Liverpool player come summer. And people laughed at me back in September, October. People, two out of the four on the panel here laughed at me, Ben, when I said McAllister wouldn't be a Liverpool player next summer.
I think you're
scoffed, shall I say? Not you, Asim, but
you,
these two below scoffed when I was saying that McAllister would leave.
So let me finish. So you want a dog to protect Vert. Well, Szoboszlai is your perfect dog because he runs all day and twice on Sunday, and he has got a technical ability to be able to contribute when required. When you ask him to play high up the pitch and be the creative brain thinker, he doesn't have that attribute and that skill set, but he does have an unbelievable engine and somebody who can get around the pitch and mop up and clean up and do whatever needs to be done innate and still contribute going forward on the odd occasion. He's really good in a general situation. I think he's perfectly okay in that deep lying role, and you put a little bit more of a crafty passer alongside him in an Adam Wharton, I think that's absolutely fine for me. And then Florian Wirtz can excel with two elite wingers in front of him, because that's the reality of it. I don't want to be rebuilding this midfield in the summer. We've got to spend a lot of money on centre backs, and we've got to spend a lot of money on wide forwards. So the pot will dry up quite quickly, and we can't be putting 2 or 3 new midfielders into this team. And I think if you're going to change anybody, Curtis Jones for me. I think everyone's raving about him the last few weeks, but I just think, to me, he's just a really decent midfielder. But if someone wants to give me 40, 50 million as Spurs, then I'm biting your hand off all day long before I'm selling Szoboszlai.
You don't think Jones was good yesterday, Ben?
I think he's okay, but I think he chews the ball way too much. He's got an arrogance about him where, you know, he really does just sort of fleet in and out of games. He doesn't put the work rate in off the ball anywhere near as much as Szoboszlai. His long range passing is completely limited, and he doesn't have a goal threat either. I think he flatters to deceive, and he's injured too much as well. Szoboszlai never misses a day's training, let alone an injury. You know, the attributes and the contribution that Szoboszlai gives to this team far exceeds Curtis Jones, in my opinion. And I'd be getting rid of him long before Szoboszlai.
I think one point that we don't mention is, like, we talk about the different positions that Szoboszlai has played this season, and rightly so. You know, it's a benefit, it's a plus point when it comes to Szoboszlai. But we don't mention the fact that this freedom that Ryan Gravenberch has been talking about, the manager's been talking about, is the way that teams have set up is increased the need for a proper passer in the midfield. And Ryan Gravenberch, I'm not saying he's been shy. He's been one of our best players if you span it over the last 12 to 18 months. And he's been a revelation because he changed position as well. But you have to understand is the way teams set up against us now is last year when teams were just zonal against us. How many times did you see Van Dijk just play that ball into midfield between the two strikers of the opposition, and Ryan Gravenberch turned on the sixpence and ran into space? But now they either just go from our keeper, they press us man to man, or if we beat it and get onto the halfway line, then they just sit off completely. And that's where Liverpool are found wanting, is because Ryan Gravenberch doesn't have the progression with the pass, and there's no space with the low block. So Curtis Jones in earlier phases has to come in left back positions recently to let Kirkes go. But more importantly, Szoboszlai has been coming into the places and providing that progressive pass. So if you look at Curtis Jones and Dominic Szoboszlai's progressive passes, they're higher than Ryan Gravenberch, and that shouldn't be the case, because you need to bounce off the number 6. And Liverpool can't bounce off the number 6, because when you can't even pin opposition with Ryan Gravenberch, because he doesn't have those little switches of play to the left, to the right, to pin opposition in. So when we talk about different positions, we have to mention this as well. There's an extra responsibility on the likes of Curtis and Dominic Szoboszlai to make up for the lack of 6 that we have in the team. So I think you're doing a big disservice, honestly, for a guy who's been one of, and I mentioned it that about 2-3 weeks ago, that, you know what, because he's providing so much energy, he's got so many different roles, especially in and out of possession, is what's going to happen in 2-3 weeks' time. He's gonna look a bit leggy, and we're going to come for him, and it's going to be really, really harsh.
I haven't come for him at all.
You have come for him.
I've said
it's really unfair to talk about Dominic Szoboszlai, who's been one of our best players this season.
all I've done is calm down the talk of this sort of captain material, Szoboszlai, and he's a captain in waiting, and he's going to be this great. I don't think he's going to be a great player. He's a good player, and we need good players at Liverpool Football Club. I just would like to see the midfield starting three, first game of the season, next season. That's it. That's all I said. First game of the season.
Avi wants a complete revamp of the midfield, innit, really. That's what you're asking for, aren't
I
you?
think
He wants to
Florian-
revamp without giving me any names.
I
G.
think Florian Wirtz to really flourish in this team. I've told you what he needs, and I don't think Szoboszlai can give that to us.
Is there no player in world football you think can fit?
I need to go back to my talent ID scouting.
No, okay.
I'll give you players. I will give you players.
You can have anybody. You can have
I will
a
give you
Vitinha,
players.
My
you can have
talent
a
ID.
Caicedo.
My talent
You
ID.
need
You can't
names.
give me one name right now.
And would a Moses Caicedo fit?
Of course, a Caicedo fits.
And a Vitinha.
No. World-class player. Vitinha is a world-class player, but we're talking about Liverpool here. We're talking about structure. How does Vitinha and a Wirtz fit in the midfield area in the Premier League? Physicality, legs,
So
running.
how does Wharton fit and Vitinha doesn't fit?
That's him.
Wharton is 6 foot. Is a 6 foot player.
But he's not. He doesn't eat ground up.
Is he a 6 foot player?
He doesn't do.
He doesn't
What's
eat
his
ground.
height? What's his height? What's his height?
He
What's his
doesn't eat
height?
ground.
What's his height?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. He'll be
Okay.
close. to it.
Xhaka wasn't a ground eater either at Leverkusen, but what he gave was balance.
Xhaka,
What he
Xhaka
gave,
could eat a lot more ground.
what
Xhaka
Xhaka
could
gave,
eat a lot more
what-
ground than thingy.
What
What's his
Xhaka
name?
gave at Bayer Leverkusen was it was great balance in that middle of the park. Andrich was the one that was covering ground and making dirty runs.
And Xhaka was brilliant as
Szoboszlai is a very good player. I would like to see our midfield three because we want Wirtz in the 10. We don't want Wirtz on the left next season. We do want Wirtz in his traditional 10 position. I would like to see what that midfield looks like first game of the season.
Isn't it just completely obvious that we need to look at the areas that need most addressing in the summer? And surely we'll all have to be honest and say midfield, even though we'd love to improve here, there and everywhere, it's the least required area to improve. We need 2 centre-backs. We need 2 elite wide forwards if we were assuming that Salah's going in the summer. So it's like we're not going to have a lot left to go and spend, 100 million here and 80 million there on all of these midfielders. So I think we have to be realistic about the situation and think, we buy 2 centre mids and maybe a fullback that can play either side or something along those lines and 2 wide forwards, then we're probably not going to have that much left in the pot.
Okay.
And I would back an elite coach to be able to make the most out of the midfield options that we've got at the moment. If Slot can win the league with that midfield, why can't Alonso or Enrique?
I think Avi is just going off the extreme views. Whether it's Szoboszlai or anyone else, there's always going to be some extreme views, and Avi is addressing them.
I've not said that we should sell Szoboszlai, by the way. I said he's a good player who will still be utilised in this Liverpool team. I just said I would like to see the midfield 3 first game of the season and how that looks like. I think, Ben, you're wrong when you say the midfield area shouldn't be addressed. I think it's one of the most pivotal areas that we need to address in the summer. It's a pivotal area that we need to address. A pivotal area. I'm not talking about which order I'm telling you it's a pivotal area.
And you've got 300 million to spend in the summer.
And I'm going to make sure that I get a midfielder in.
Before wingers and centre-backs?
I'm going to get a midfielder in. Doesn't matter about the timing and who I get in before or which comes in before, whether I go for a midfielder first. A midfielder is on that £300 million budget.
So we've got like an elite midfield next season, and we've got Van Dijk and Gomez at centre half.
Yeah, and I think the talk. Just coming on that. Just quickly. I think the talk is obvious. Going, looking around the sources and Joyce and whoever, that midfielder is a priority in the summer.